In this week's drive, we disappear in a cloud of dust, come to a very sudden stop, witness a reversal of fortune, and watch the whole world go by in just a second. All this and more in this week's Drive. We start with NASCAR and the Pepsi 400-mile race over 200 laps. It was a packed house at the Michigan International Speedway, blessed with perfect weather for racing as the green flag came down to start the action.
In that 31 car, the quick duck to the inside.
Dale Jarrett got into trouble early with a spin on the 12th lap, just after he had passed Steve Park for 12th place. He got sideways, sliding down through the infield grass, but luckily without hitting anything solid. In making repairs to a tucked-in front end, Jarrett fell right back to 43rd place.
Fender went down, or onboard view from.
Then, on lap 143, Steve Park and Jerry Nadeau both spun out and hit the wall separately from each other. At first, Park looked like he'd got away with minor damage, but lifting off the throttle sends the car back up and into the wall again. Fortunately for Park, Nadeau and the rest of the field, no other cars were involved.
The shot I was looking at looked like they ran him right behind Todd and had to jump off the throttle quickly. And when you jump off the accelerator on these things quickly, the car will spin on you.
Let me ask you something. Just watching the front end of that car jump, these soft springs that have...
As the race was drawing to a close, Jarrett was moving his way up through the field. With 8 laps to go, he passed Dale Earnhardt Jr. to move into second, behind Ward Burton.
Yellow line. Second place, Dale Jarrett, the lead.
Then with 4 laps to go, Jarrett made his move into turn 4 to pass Burton to take the lead. Jarrett held on to take the checkered flag for his 30th career victory and the $180,000 check. His Ford was followed across the line by Tony Stewart in a Pontiac about 2 seconds back, and Kevin Harvick was third in a Chev. Mark Martin maintained his pursuit of Sterling Marlin in the Winston Cup Championship by finishing 5th in the Viagra Ford, 1 place ahead of Marlin. Marlin is now 43 points ahead of Martin with 13 races remaining. To the historic Road America track now in Wisconsin for the 12th round of the kart series. Paul Tracy led for the first 24 laps. The race extended this year from 55 to 60. Pole winner Bruno Junqueira and Alex Tagliani were to be contenders to the end. Tracy, who started 4th in the 18-car field, got a great start and passed Junqueira on the first lap to take the lead. He led easily until his first pit stop on lap 25, building margins of up to 2.3 seconds.
On the outside, look at that.
Junqueira inherited the lead and stayed in front until he pitted on lap 39, handing it to Cristiano D'Amata. Tracy never got back into contention after his first pit stop. He was up to 4th when Kenny Brack tried to pass on the inside, bounced off the curb and banged into Tracy. Both took a trip onto the beach and an early shower. D'Amata held on to the lead he had inherited in the pits. Junqueira had the speed to catch him, but a mistake during his final pit stop cost him any chance of a win. A team tyre changer dropped his air wrench, allowing Tagliani to beat Junqueira out of the pits.
Checkered flag for Cristiano D'Amata.
That's the way it stayed to the end, with Tagliani finishing 0.8 of a second behind D'Amata, who claimed his 6th win from 12 starts, taking a 28-point lead over Patrick Carpentier, who finished 7th with 7 races remaining.
Till today, the team led by Don Lambert. That's Don on the left with the mustache and the glasses. He leads this team. He's the crew chief, but Tony...
We go to the town of Trier in the Moselle grape-growing district now for the first ever World Rally to be held in Germany. It's a tarmac event, meaning little or no dirt sections, and the tarmac specialists were expected to do well. Citroën Sebastian Loeb didn't disappoint among the grapevines, going ahead of world champ Richard Burns in 5 of the first 6 stages. Burns and teammate Marcus Gronholm shared the first stage win, and then the Finn lost 40 seconds with a hydraulic problem and a 30-second penalty. Subaru's Petter Solberg ran 5th for much of the opening day with power steering failure. Citroen's Philippe Bugalski won the non-championship event held in Germany last year and was in third place early on the first day. Colin McRae settled into fourth place in his Ford Focus. It wasn't all plain sailing for Lube, but he recovered from this partial spin and stall to maintain his lead.
Allez, gauche à fond. Allez, gauche à fond sur droite, 140 corps de rail. Droite, 140 corps de...
Citroën don't enter all the World Rally rounds, so don't score manufacturers' points, and Lube will leave the team at the end of this year. Armin Schwartz was setting a good pace in his Hyundai in his home event, recovering from this off with barely a lift. But things would get much, much worse for the German. Subaru's Norwegian Solberg had problems beyond his power steering failure when he suffered a broken right front drive shaft too. Conditions were damp early on, which Burns would have preferred. McRae's supporters are everywhere, and the ex-world champ was just one who complained about spectators in dangerous places on the course.
I'm very surprised that the organisers let these stages run when there are so many people so close to the road, because on these roads so narrow, it takes nothing to make a small mistake.
Mitsubishi's Alistair McRae, Colin's brother, joined the list of retirements when his brand new car's engine blew up at the end of stage 6. The Citroëns were holding together much better than the dirt-favouring machines. At the end of day 1, Burns trailed Lube by 27 seconds, with Bugalski 22 seconds further back. The second day dawned wet and overcast, conditions which might favour the regular rally cars developed for low-grip surfaces. But Lube wasn't going to sit back and let them steal his lead. Rovan Perro was leading the fight back. Armin Schwartz suffered 3 broken ribs in this crash. Hyundai teammate Freddie Loix retired with a non-starting car. Solberg's bad weekend ended when a collision ripped off his right rear wheel. He completed the stage on 3 wheels, but retired with 2 stages remaining before the next service park. Gronholm staged a terrific comeback from his troubles of the first day, posting 5 best times to move 3rd overall, 25.4 seconds off the pace. Lube saw his overnight advantage drastically reduced after championship leader Gronholm set the pace on the opening 3 stages of day 2. Wet conditions in the Baumholder military area, which is normally used to train German tank drivers, was working against the Citroën driver as he battled with a car set up for smooth, dry conditions. But the course wasn't uniformly wet, and Burns was able to win only 1 stage all day. Carlos Sainz moved up to 5th place after Solberg retired with 1 wheel hanging off his Subaru. Belgian Bruno Thierry completed the top 6 in his privateer Peugeot. Francois Delacour in the sole remaining Mitsubishi was 8th, behind Marco Martin of Estonia in a Ford Focus. Four-times world champ Mäkinen was having a dismal event. His troubles included having the handbrake come off in his hands during a tight stage when he needed it the most. The course included a 5.8-kilometre special stage on a former motorcycle racetrack. German privateer Armin Kremer, driving a Ford Focus, had fought up to 10th place and was amongst the top works rally teams, but his luck was soon to change. Kremer and his co-driver Dieter Schneppenham were lucky to walk away from this monumental shunt. The car was destroyed in the crash and resulting fire, and the incident temporarily halted the stage while the wreckage was removed. Kremer explained that the crash happened at a very fast part of the circuit.
Eigentlich war es so eine sehr schnelle Passage und vorher kam so eine leichte Welle und jetzt kam.
Burns was still chasing in second place. Gronholm was reeling in the leaders but made the occasional mistake along the way. McRae wasn't hanging about either, desperate to stay ahead of Gronholm. With dry roads, Loeb's pace came back and the Frenchman took 3 of the first 5 stages on the final day.
150 mètres, droite 142, bon Milan. 150 mètres, droite 140, bon Milan et 250 mètres.
McRae won both the Greek and Kenyan rallies, but didn't expect to win on the German tarmac round. Bruno Thierry claimed an impressive 5th place ahead of Estonian Marco Martin and the struggling Mäkinen. Sainz's co-driver Lewis Moyer needed some help when the Ford let them down.
You can help! Yes, come clear. Come on! Come on!
Well, you stalled the engine in the start and I couldn't restart it at all. So after a couple of minutes, then try and start again.
Sainz stalled his car and lost 2 minutes. He finished 8th overall. Burns found some extra pace and won 4 of the last 7 stages, the Englishman driving his Peugeot at the edge of its grip. Loeb's victory seemed in doubt after the Frenchman overshot a junction, but Subaru denied they had lodged a complaint. The Citroën driver came home 14.3 seconds ahead of Richard Burns to win the first World Rally victory of his career and the first ever German World Rally Championship event.
We made a very nice race and Richard too, it was very close. We had to fight to the end and now it's okay.
Gronholm extended his overall championship lead over Colin McRae to 18 points, 33 points to 51. During the 5-week summer break, the Yamaha MotoGP team have been hard at work to make up the deficit to the all-conquering Honda team. They've changed the engine, the frame and fairing and tested the results at Valencia in Spain. The bike was definitely improved and Max Biaggi and teammate Carlos Checa were looking forward to the wide and fast Brno track in the Czech Republic.
I win maybe 6 or 7 of the 8 or the 9 races and I'm very confident. I like the track. The layout is one of the greatest around the world and I hope to get what I wish, especially over there. In Brno we're gonna use some new stuff about the engine and so we hope to get some extra acceleration and speed We know we can do this, but we don't know what the other manufacturers are doing. This 1 month of break from last race, maybe everybody's pushing hard and working to add some power. I hope to be good over there, and let's see. This year there is no possibility for us to attack the Rossi position. It's being dominated too strong in Honda, so I think we have to look what we can do. At the moment the first position is out of the order, but still there is a second position, and it's not so bad. If I can finish second, I will be the happiest man in this world.
World champ Valentino Rossi has won 8 of the 9 races this year on the Honda, but Max came second in the last 2. Biaggi's record at Brno is good. He won 4 250cc races there between 1994 and 97, and the 500cc race in 98 and 2000. During the 3 days of the race meeting, each of the 22 riders in the MotoGP class flew the flag for towns and communities worst affected by the recent severe floodings, which hit the Czech Republic and caused devastation on a giant scale. The aim was to offer support to the areas affected by the floods. With the riders dedicating their efforts to several regions, they hope to lift the spirits of people affected by the destruction.
Number 6, Laura Cabe.
The gesture was agreed between race promoters and the MotoGP community, who wanted to show solidarity with all the people affected by the disaster so close to the track.
Number 46, Valentino Rossi. Thank you very much.
The race marked a step forward for the current 250cc world champion Daijiro Kato. He'll ride a new 4-stroke Honda in the remaining 7 MotoGP events. The Japanese rider is no stranger to 4-strokes, having won the Suzuka 8-hour race for Honda earlier this month. Kato would be the first rider outside the Works factory team to race one of the all-conquering 5-cylinder Hondas, which have claimed all the races since they became eligible to race. In qualifying, Kato set the early pace, shooting to the top of the standings, but Biaggi responded with the first sub-2-minute lap at the 5-kilometre circuit. Kato battled back with a new record minutes later, and the reigning 250 champ looked set to take his first pole in the Premier class. Valentino Rossi had set up problems with his Honda for most of the qualifying session and failed to make an impression until his last lap, when he finally pushed his bike under 2 minutes to sit in 3rd place. Australian Gary McCoy put his Yamaha on the front row as the fastest 2-stroke in a gutsy ride as he recovers from injury. With just 2 minutes remaining, Biaggi reclaimed pole position, his second of the season, with a time of 1 minute 59.646 seconds, and Kato had to settle for 2nd place on the grid. Loris Capirossi struggled to match the pace of the booming 4-strokes and was pipped by McCoy. The off-season testing and development effort put in by Yamaha would seem to have paid off.
The bike seems like it's working okay, and I'm very happy because coming back from the holiday, this is the best thing you can get. Today is only Saturday, but it's already something.
Race day started with a heavy crash in the morning warm-up for Toru Okawa, but the gritty Japanese lined up for the start on his spare bike. Biaggi grabbed an early lead from Rossi and Kato and was never passed on a track that has given him more success than any other circuit, although the 31-year-old Roman crashed near the end of the Czech race last year. Shinji Nakano was an early crasher going out on the first lap. Rossi jumped past Kato at the start and took the battle to arch-rival Biaggi for lap after lap. But Rossi was in trouble. His rear tyre was literally flying apart under the strain of keeping up with the Yamaha. On the 16th of 22 laps, Rossi slows dramatically as the tyre becomes dangerous and Kato goes through to claim 2nd place. The champion came in for a new rear tyre, but 2 laps later he was forced out of the race completely with the problem. This left Biaggi with a 2.7-second cushion over Kato. Okawa overcame the results of his morning crash to finish 3rd and cut Rossi's huge lead in the standings by 16 points.
I want to congratulate also the team, work very hard, and still motivation with me is very high, even if next year I'm
The win was bittersweet for the Yamaha team, however, since Biaggi has announced that he will be leaving at the end of the season. In the 250cc class, Italian Roberto Rolfo led compatriot Marco Melandri and Fonzi Nito until Nito ran off and narrowly avoided a crash, much to the dismay of his crew in the pits. Rolfo led for 18 of the 20 laps until Melandri slipstreamed his way into the lead. Just behind the leaders, Sebastian Porto was third, leading Tony Elias. Rolfo tried to bear down hard on Melandri on the last lap, but he crashed right out of the race, allowing Melandri to take a 6th consecutive triumph and widen his championship lead. Melandri crossed the line standing side saddle, with Porto inheriting second and Elias third. Nito regained the track to finish fourth, a fraction from claiming the bronze medal position. In the 125s, the race was barely a corner old before Joan Olivet crashed his Honda and was run over by his own bike. Pablo Nito was the next man down and into the gravel. Lucio Cecchinello led to the flag, but Daniel Pedrosa slipped under Arno Vincent for second. World champ Manuel Poggiali kept his title lead, coming fifth. The Motocross World Championship went to Geldorf in Germany for round 10 of the 12-race series, where reigning 250cc champ Michael Pichon of France, riding the yellow Suzuki, was widely expected to retain his title. He's already won 8 of the 9 rounds so far this year, 6 of them in a row, but he was third at the end of the first lap. Another Frenchman, Johnny Aubert, was his first target in second place. A lap later, race leader Alessio Chiodo was pressured into a mistake and Pichon was through to lead. He won a 7th consecutive race by 18 seconds from German Pit Beirer to retain the world title. World champion Joel Smets dropped to 8th place on the first lap of the 500cc race, but the Belgian had climbed to second after 3 laps and was soon battling for the lead with Stefan Everts, but Smets overtook his rival on the last lap. KTM riders Javier García Vico of Spain and Frenchman Yves de Maria were side by side in a thrilling fight for third, but collided after a jump. De Maria was unaffected by the contact and went on to claim third place, but Vico turned awkwardly in the mud and dropped back down to 7th. Smets scored his 5th win, but Everts leads the title by 40 points, with 50 still available. The frantic 125 race started badly for Agar Lioc, who went from 4th to last in the very first corner. Frenchman Michael Machiot claimed his 3rd victory of the season and passed Belgian Patrick Kaps to move into first place in the world standings by a single point. Machiot also overtook Kaps in the race, passing the KTM rider with 4 laps to go and finishing 1.6 seconds ahead of his rival. Kaps' compatriot Steve Ramon finished in 3rd place, the position he also holds in the world standings. We'll end at that muddy and hard-fought point. But so you stay on track and up to speed, make sure you catch next week's Drive.